All right, welcome everyone. More people are coming in, but we're officially recording now. I'm Dylan Stafford. I'm an assistant dean here at UCLA Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have 90 minutes together and I want to make it very fun for you. I want to ask you to think about a really big question, which is why should I invest in myself, right? Why is graduate education the right thing for me to do with my time and my money and my effort? Why is UCLA the organization I should trust with something as precious as my own future? And why is UCLA Anderson and an MBA and the Fully Employed MBA program, why is that possibly the best pathway for me? So we have a lot of other events in our stable of outreach. We have the we have the Admissions 101 event with Chris. We have our chats with our FEMBassadors. We have lots and lots of content online, our podcasts, our Voice of FEMBA series. So there's lots of ways that you can learn about UCLA. Hopefully you have at least one or maybe 10 or maybe 50 high quality UCLA alumni in your organization, above you, around you. Many of you went to UCLA undergrad, of course, so you're double Bruins and you already know what this is already all about. But tonight is a very high level conversation to really look at this from the 50,000 foot level. This is a six-figure investment in my career for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And why would I want to make that level of an investment? So let's jump right into it. I'll show you our agenda here. Make today your masterpiece. That's a Coach John Wooden quote that I love to start with. If you don't know Coach Wooden, come to UCLA and you'll know all about him. He's a remarkable human being. So make today your masterpiece. So let's make this next 87 minutes a masterpiece and really give you guys a lot to think about over this holiday. You know, the holiday is such a great time. Talk to your mentors, talk to your parents, talk to your brother, your sister. You know, like, what do I want to do? How could 2021 be an amazing year, right? 2020, a lot of challenge. We made it through it. What are we proud about 2020? That's great as you do your reflection. But then what about building? What about looking forward? What can we do? So let's jump on right in. Let's see. So I'm Dylan Stafford. As I said, I'm an assistant dean here. I do have an MBA. It's from a different school. Most of the leadership of UCLA is very much led by Anderson MBAs. I'm kind of an outlier. I'm from Texas originally. That's the twang that will come out sometimes. I have a BA in history from Texas A&M University. And then I went to the University of Chicago Booth to get an MBA in finance and marketing. I've had two careers. I spent 6 years at Siemens, the global electronic conglomerate, Fortune 50 company doing business in over 100 countries. That was my first career. And then I followed my girlfriend, became fiance, and she's my forever wife. I followed her promotion to Los Angeles in 2002. And I just started my 19th year at UCLA last August, which is amazing to me. I used to be young and now I'm not. I have a podcast. I'll show you a link for that in a minute, where I do current and alumni success interviews, success stories, and they're all on the internet, available 24/7. I've written 2 books since I've been here at UCLA. I wrote one in 2018 called Building a Winning Organization, which a lot of it's about the incredible success of FEMBA. I wrote another one. It's a personal book called Daddy Muscles. I teach a module called Stand and Deliver during orientation. I also teach Leadership Labs, which is a pre-admit event that we do cross campus with the med school. And it's a really fun thing we do in the 0 year. And I'm a big cheerleader for UCLA. I've spoken to well over 12,000 people in my 19 years. I love this place, and I want to communicate some of the reasons why to you tonight with this Why FEMBA event. So the Drive Time podcast, we have 12 new episodes that we recorded this year. So just Google UCLA Drive Time podcast, and you can find, this year everything is on YouTube. We also have a lot of audio only on SoundCloud. So that was my earlier iterations. I'll show you a couple of the people that we've interviewed later in the slide deck. But if you really want to hear some more first person experience and what is Anderson and what is FEMBA and how did it work for me, we've got a lot for you to listen to. These are some of we did a summer spotlight series on 6 2020 graduates with a couple of alumni thrown in. So this is not everybody. Kate Greenberg is actually an alum from class of 2010. Hers is a double Bruin love story. She met her husband. They were both in undergrad together, and then she went to FEMBA, and then she put him through law school, and their career took them from California to Florida to New York, and now to Washington, D.C., where she is the chief marketing officer for the Washington Nationals philanthropies, so the philanthropic arm of the Washington Nationals. She's the only FEMBA alum I know of who has a World Series ring. She actually got a World Series ring being on the team there, which is just incredible. Sophie Gao transitioned to, used FEMBA to transition to Amazon. She was with, she actually did FEMBA from Arizona all 3 years and was working for Shutterfly or Snapfish or Snap, one of those over there in Arizona. And then is now up in Seattle. Dominique Cagle is a PhD research scientist. She's also a single mother of 2 who did FEMBA from Bakersfield. Her story is super inspiring. She's now in the Bay Area. So she had a career transition while being a single mom. Rob Busalacci was our Wooden Leadership winner. He is a Marine who's now an investment banker at Barclays. Tina Pham's reinvention story is also exciting. Brittany Blackamore is another one of the alum. So all of the 20s here, they were all nominated by their classmates. And then Kate and Brittany, I just went and got their stories. Brittany is, the blonde person in the lower right corner, is from Orange County. And you might have some, don't judge the book by the cover kind of stuff. She's first, not only is she a first generation college person in her family, she's a first generation high school graduate. And by the time she graduated FEMBA, she had doubled her salary and reinvented her entire career. And when she graduated from FEMBA, she was now the highest paid person in her entire family network. And then 4 years after FEMBA, she graduated at 16. Not only did she double her salary again, but she's created a global nonprofit called Suitcases of Joy. So I just can never get to the bottom of the well of incredible stories of human beings going way beyond, driving change, sharing success, thinking out of the box, thinking fearlessly. So this is a long plug for the podcast, but it's only to say, if you're going to make this big investment, if you're going to put UCLA on your resume, you want to get the biggest results possible. And what we do with these Voices of FEMBA, with these drive time interviews, we really want you to hear first person from people who've already made the leap, so that their leap can inspire your leap. So here's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to talk for about 35 minutes, hopefully less than 40. And we're going to talk about think fearlessly, share success, drive change. Those are the 3 pillars of our culture at Anderson. That's what we do. We think fearlessly, we share success, we drive change. It's your head, it's your heart, it's your gut. Your gray matter gets better. That's think fearlessly. Your network, your heart gets bigger. That's share success. And then your gut, right? Your confidence to go raise your hand and say, hey, world, I've got an idea. If you give me permission, if you give me resources, if you give me head count, I can make some really big changes happen in the world. So that's what we're all about. We think fearlessly, we share success, we drive change. Those are the pillars. And you do that within the bigger context of UCLA, UCLA, one of the world's most respected, most recognized university brands. So that's the first third. The middle third is going to be the fun part. You're going to get to go. We have 9 great current student leaders. We're going to send you into 9 breakout rooms, and you're going to get to look at this why FEMBA for yourself. And we've got a killer icebreaker question. You're going to get to look at, so you can already start thinking about this. What are you most proud of from 2020? Okay, so why FEMBA? That's a 2021 question. That's a next year question. What are you looking forward to? What do you want to build? But also, all of us, if you're here on December 14th, 2020, you've almost got to the finish line of 2020 with everything that our society has been subjected to this year. You're still positive, you're still optimistic, you're still looking forward. And what is it that you want to pat yourself on the back for? And it can be big, it can be little, but that's going to be one of the icebreaker questions in the breakout rooms. I love the 9 people. None of them knew they were going to be doing this 12 hours ago. So these are some very, very, very change adaptive student leaders. I just had this brainstorm this morning that I thought this would be a better way to have tonight go. And these folks all stepped up. And I'm just so grateful for their time. And I know you're going to be grateful to get to be in a breakout room with them, because these are the folks who are already, they are your mentors. They're either 1 year ahead of you or even 3 years ahead of you. We have 7 members of the entering class who just are finishing their first quarter. And then Richie and Hadley are 2 of our, the leaders of our FEMBA Corps, and they just finished their field study. So they're in their 3rd year now, coming to the finish line. Okay, so you'll have about 30 minutes in your breakout room, and then we'll come back together for, some plenary together Q&A. You can ask questions of me, and we can also have them. And then in the background, I think I've introduced everybody, but also Cynthia Somerville is my colleague. The volunteers obviously are current students. Cynthia and I are on the team together. Cynthia is our office manager. She keeps the trains running on time. She's also reading applications for the first time this year. So Cynthia's on the call with me too. So I just thank the team for jumping in. And Raymond's not here tonight, but Raymond set the whole thing up. So to honor and appreciate Raymond in absentia. All right, so thanks for being here, and welcome to our newest class of 2024. So some of you may have applied in round 1. And if so, then you're going to get, we're going to be sending out notifications on Friday. But many of you are going to apply in rounds 2 or 3 in the winter. In January 12th is our deadline for round 2. Or then April 6th is our round 3, our deadline at the end of the year. So I'm going to take the recording of tonight, and I'm going to share it with the new admits, the people who get admitted on Friday, because I want them to wrestle with the very same question that I want you to wrestle with tonight. Why? Why am I making this investment in myself, right? Why am I worth a 6-figure investment? And again, only you can answer that question. And it's personal, and it's dear, and it's unique to each and every one of us. And one of the best ways to get good answers in life, I'm pausing for dramatic effect, right? One of the best ways to get great answers in your life and in your career is what? It's to ask some high quality questions, right? So why should I get an MBA? Why should I trust UCLA? Why should I keep my job and do the Fully Employed MBA program? Those are high quality questions. That's what I want to do with 90 minutes of your life tonight. I want to give you an opportunity to gift yourself with a high quality question, right? Because the world is full of low quality questions. These are high quality questions. Graduate school at a place like UCLA, putting a UCLA diploma on your wall that says you have a Master of Business Administration. That is a high quality answer to what do I want to do to make my life count? I want to lead a life of significance. What's a way to maximize my chance to be successful? How can I make myself smart enough, networked enough, and confident enough to go out there and really shake the tree and make something happen in the world? Because the world is hungry for leadership, right? If you have any doubt that the world needs leaders, I invite you to just turn on the news, right? And watch all of the shrill voices out there saying that the sky is falling. Maybe it is. I don't know. I hope not. I have young children, and I want them to live in a decent, tolerant, wonderful society that finds talented people and gives them a chance to grow and develop no matter their starting point. That's the world I want to build. And that's the context I live in, that the citizens that graduate with the UCLA Anderson diploma, they're not just business leaders. They are informed citizens who make a difference on the planet. And you're going to get to meet 9 of them tonight. And if you just got admitted, if you're hearing this, if you're watching this Friday afternoon, if you're in the new class of 2024, congratulations. Your Why FEMBA now starts. Because it's one thing to ask Why FEMBA before you get admitted. It gets way kind of crazy more serious after you get admitted. And our volunteers could talk about that tonight. So this is the team. Let me minimize this so you can see everybody. So there are 8 people you see here: Hadley, Richie, Wing, Yechan, Ryan, Kevin, Nathan, and Jeremy. Plus we got a bonus number 9 coming in at the 11th hour. Kevin invited Kelvin. So Kelvin is also with us. So I apologize you don't get to see Kelvin's picture here, but Kelvin is a manager. He's a finance manager at Big 5. And you got Hadley here at Pandora. You can see everybody. I asked them to give me one word about Why FEMBA for them. Hadley's word is confidence. Richie's an engineer at Aerojet Rocketdyne who's transforming his career. Transformation is his word. Wing and the rest that I'll introduce are our brand new students. Wing is at Disney. She's a senior financial analyst. Opportunity is her word. Yechan is in the military, works for the U.S. Naval Academy as an admissions counselor. Yechan, I think you're accountable for like 900. You're accountable for the West Coast or something big. He's got a big accountability. Growth mindset is Yechan's Why FEMBA. Ryan, you see here, AT&T product manager, also in the entering class. Growth is his Why FEMBA. Kevin, Autodesk portfolio strategist, ever expanding. I asked for one word, you guys give me hyphenated. That's it. You're thinking fearlessly. You're getting out there. Nathan, U.S. Air Force pilot. Metamorphosis, really, the butterfly, starts one thing and looks like something totally different. So that's Nathan's word. And Jeremy Sheartz, last one of the 9 this evening. Dan Marsteele, senior project manager, development. So this is the bonus that I emailed you all about this afternoon, was that you're going to get to meet these folks tonight. So I'm just really grateful for everybody, the 8 represented here, plus Kelvin, that you'll get to meet. And we will give you some links. These are the links to their either FEMbassador or their Voice of FEMBA content on the web. So I'll post that in the chat later on. So before Why FEMBA, Why UCLA? Why would you want UCLA on your resume? Why would you want UCLA with you for the rest of your life? It should be obvious, but UCLA is something that's so big that sometimes we think we know what it's about when we really maybe don't. And so let me just take a couple minutes to remind us all about UCLA. So UCLA, the #1 public university, according to U.S. News and World Report. Hey, that's great. A month ago, U.S. News and World Report said we were #1. But was that the first time they said it? No, it's not the first time. This is the 4th year in a row, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, #1 public university. And we're just, that's the incredible undergraduate program, plus over 125 graduate programs, of which FEMBA is the 2nd largest. The largest graduate student body is the law students, then FEMBA, then I think the daytime MBA. So you got 125 different ways to get a graduate degree at UCLA, and FEMBA is the 2nd most popular out of all of those. And all of that sits against the reputation of UCLA overall, #1 public university. This is where Cynthia and I tease each other. Cynthia's a Trojan, but she works at UCLA and we love her. So if you went to USC, come on over. It's good. Then you got 2 networks. But if you went to UCLA undergrad, you better stay here, dadgummit. So, all right, we got space for everybody. It's also the most applied to university repeatedly. It's great to be #1 in terms of prestige, but it's also great to be #1 in popularity. Over 108,000 people applied for the fall of 2020, just for the freshman seats, not even. So, well, yeah, you can see here. So these are applications for the last couple of years, right? 108,000 for freshman seats this year, 111 last year, 113 the year before that, plus the transfer applications on top of that. 5th largest alumni network in the United States. It's, I think, Penn State, Michigan, Indiana, maybe Michigan State, and then us. So over 500,000 people living alumni, 41,000 of whom are Anderson alumni. And when you travel the world, those of you who grew up abroad or have spent a lot of time abroad, we say UCLA in America. The rest of the world says UCLA. You go to the continent of Africa, people know UCLA. You go to India, people know UCLA. You go to Asia, people know UCLA, right? So many people have their favorite, uncle or their grandfather or their parent, some person in their extended family who made the big trip, got on the plane, got on the boat, went to America, mostly in STEM, right? But now expanding to so many other fields. And that reputation, that prestige is part of the benefit of coming to UCLA if you choose to come here, right? Just the quantity of high quality human beings spread around the globe who are proud alumni of the UCLA educational opportunity. So you get to say, I'm a grad student at UCLA. I'm getting my MBA at UCLA Anderson, right? You You get a little card, a little Bruin card that you can put in your wallet. You can, whenever we start to go to the movies again, you get discount tickets for the movies because you'll be back, right? So let's all practice now, all right? I want you to say it loud. You're on mute, nobody's gonna hear. Just practice. I'm a grad student at UCLA. Just practice, just throw it out there like a little, hey, I got six-pack abs and I'm a grad student at UCLA. You just drop it into conversation, just a little, right? I'm getting my MBA at UCLA Anderson. Just practice, right? I'll be quiet for 10 seconds. Just say it to yourself. You don't have to, but it's something that's available. Life gives you the chance to do big things like that. And if you're going to do big things, maybe you want to surround yourself with a big organization. Maybe you want to surround yourself with a big institution. Maybe you want to surround yourself with faculty. We have the most academic knowledge generating faculty pound for pound. We're a small faculty, but we publish way beyond our numbers. We're one of the most prolific generators of primary research knowledge of any of the top 20 global schools of business on the planet, right? That's the faculty. Then your peers, and you'll get to meet the current student leaders tonight, and you'll get a sense as you hear yourself and other people talk, wow, I could be in class with people like this, right? While you're getting your MBA. So it's something that you can do with your life, and it's worth doing, we would suggest. So our statement for UCLA, fiat lux, let there be light. We have been making history for the first 101 years. UCLA was founded in 1919. We've been making big contributions in society, in research, in athletics. And let me just give you a few examples. If you saw the movie 42, if you know the story of Jackie Robinson, right? In society, Jackie Robinson, 1941, right? 24 years before we passed the civil rights legislation. 24 years before, Jackie Robinson was a 4-sport letterman at UCLA, and he went on to break the color barrier for Major League Baseball. And those of us nowadays, we have no idea how big that was from a racial point of view as we try to digest George Floyd and the aftermath and the summer of social justice that we just lived through with the riots, if you want to call them riots, or protests, if you want to call them protests. If you think about the upheaval that we just lived through, the 60s had all of that, plus they had Vietnam, right? Like, America has been through wrenching change before. And as tumultuous as the 60s were, go back 24 years before that. And that was the world that Jackie Robinson boldly walked into. And if you can think how popular American football is now, the NFL, and if you can think how popular basketball is right now, take the popularity of the NFL and combine that with the popularity of basketball. That's how popular baseball was. And baseball was segregated. There was a white league, there was a black league. That's what American society was. And UCLA graduated a person with the quality of character to walk into that no agreement reality and be the change he wished to see in the world. So, we think about UCLA for Nobel Prizes and all this good stuff, but we also make a difference in society. And Jackie Robinson's a prime example. On the heels of Jackie Robinson, another alum graduated a year earlier, Tom Bradley. Tom Bradley's the first African-American of any of the major 10 cities in the United States. And he was the mayor of Los Angeles for 20 years, from 1973 to 1993. So both Jackie Robinson, Tom Bradley, I offer them as examples of UCLA in society, being the change we wish to see in the world. Our alumni going out there and making change happen. Here's another one. I think everybody knows this, but just to say it, we're going to be the site of the Olympics. The athletes are going to live in all the student dorms in 2028, right? And it seems like a long way away from here, but it'll be here before you know it, right? This will be, 1984, 2028. Los Angeles is going to open itself up to the world and say, hey, come check us out. Come check out Southern California. And we and USC and all the venues, right? It's going to be exciting. It's going to be amazing. And where are the athletes going to be? They're all going to be at UCLA, right? This is the kind of organization that you'd be a part of if you choose to invest in yourself here. I'm looking at the time. I will get done in 35 minutes. I got 11 minutes to keep bragging about UCLA. All right. So if you don't know, the internet was born here. You know, our dean, Tony Bernardo, likes to say within 1 square mile, of Anderson, we're off on the side of campus. All of this history making stuff. So 10/29/1969, Dr. Leonard Kleinrock sent the very first ping. It went from UCLA. Where did it go? Went to Stanford. And what was the first message? Anybody know what the first message was? It was very, very, you know, you think bandwidth, right? You can't even begin where we started from. You can't even imagine where we started from. The first message was low. It was supposed to be login, but it crashed after LO. And when Dr. Kleinrock tells the story, he says, hence the first message on the internet was low, as in lo and behold, he said, we didn't plan it, but we could not have come up with a better message, short and prophetic. And who knew where that was gonna lead? So with Jackie Robinson and Tom Bradley, that's UCLA and society. The Olympics, that's UCLA and society. But when you get to the cutting edge research, so many examples of that start at UCLA. Dr. Paul Terasaki, probably don't know this story. This is an incredible story. Japanese American heritage. His family was interned. One of America's many shames. We got it wrong, right? We're Japanese people in California. Japanese heritage Americans were placed in internment camps during World War II out of racism and fear. His family was placed in a camp. He was there for 3 years. He graduated. He came to UCLA, became a triple Bruin, undergraduate, master's, doctorate, and then went on to become the pioneer of organ transplant. He invented the science that led to the ability to transplant organs, and then went on to found One Lambda, which was over $1 billion firm. He passed several years ago, but the Terasaki Research Institute is alive and well in Santa Monica, down in Westwood, UCLA affiliated, and a person who changed the world through science, changed the world through research. And then just a more recent example, Andrea Getz, like 2 months ago, it was crazy. We got #1 for the 4th year in a row. And then like the next week, we, had a Nobel Prize winner. Until this year, 2020, only 20 of the 607 Nobel medals awarded in scientific disciplines have gone to women. So it was a UCLA Anderson female professor who received the 21st, and she won her Nobel Prize in physics. So UCLA in athletics, this is what I'm kind of merging, because these are actually fully employed MBA graduates. Ed Moses is a 2016 graduate. He's our 2nd ever Olympic gold medalist. You know who our first Olympic gold medalist is from FEMBA? Used to be the general manager of the Lakers. Did you realize that? And his name is escaping me right now. Help me out, Nathan. I'm trying to say too many things at once. Who's the guy who was, oh my God, I'm having a mind melt. Anyway, it'll come back to me later. The former general manager of the Lakers is, before we had FEMBA, we had what was called the X program, which was a 4-year keep your job and go to school. So he was a proto-FEMBA. Ed here is a recent FEMBA. There's a podcast of Ed. If you Google Ed Moses UCLA Drive Time podcast, you can listen to his podcast. He's actually the first one I ever interviewed. Susan Francia is our 3rd gold medalist after, Mitch Kupchak. God, thank goodness, my brain. Mitch Kupchak was our first Olympic gold medalist in FEMBA. Ed Moses was 2nd. And then Susan Francia here, she graduated 2 years ago. And she was one of my last in-person drive time interviews. She's down in San Diego now. We interviewed in my office on a Saturday, like 2 weeks before COVID made us go home. But if you only listen to one drive, listen to hers. She's incredible. Her mom and father fled Hungary with their life savings stuffed into her teddy bear when she was 2 years old. And she won gold in women's rowing twice for the U.S. women's team. She got offered, I think she says on the podcast, like $225,000, because she's a dual citizen. So Hungarian American, she got offered $225,000 to row for Hungary. And she turned that down to row for free, the way American athletes do. And, and she won gold twice in 2008 and 2012. and she brings the gold medals. So I got to hold 2 gold medals. It's so cool. They're so heavy. While I was sitting in my office interviewing her. So that's one thing, the gold medals. Second thing, she tells this killer story about meeting Kobe Bryant. And this was right after Kobe passed this year. She tells this incredible story about meeting Kobe Bryant. And she's from Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia. She went to Penn undergrad. And they became kind of like, I don't know, he became kind of like a how to deal with fame mentor to her. And she tells this great lesson, what Kobe taught her about how to deal with fame. And then third thing is she's working on biotech down in San Diego. So in that one podcast, you hear about a person that'll be in your future alumni network, who's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, who was on a first name basis with Kobe. And she tells about meeting him and what that was like. And now she's working on COVID. So these are the kind of people. And then this was just super fun. CAROLYN CONNOLLY, non-Olympic gold medalist. She was an engineer from the Northeast who moved to LA to do roller derby. And she was doing roller derby here, and then reinvented her career during FEMBA, had 2 daughters. She had her first daughter a week before. It scared me so much. She brought her 1-week-old to orientation, and then she had her second daughter halfway through FEMBA. So all of these stories are on the podcast. All right, I'm going to speed up now. The famous Coach John Wooden. If you don't know Coach Wooden, you will. He's a legend. He's a legend way beyond UCLA, much bigger than UCLA. Shame on me. I didn't know him. I wasn't a basketball. I was a football guy growing up, but I grew up in Texas, so I just didn't know him. And part of what makes it so fun to work and be associated with UCLA is all of these hidden treasures like Jackie Robinson, like Tom Bradley, like Coach Wooden, like Paul Terasaki. So you'll learn more about that. So let there be light. So you can trust UCLA. We've been making history for 101 years. We're going to make history for the next 101 years. You can trust us. So let's get to the meat of it. Why should you do FEMBA? Super quick test. Because many of you are like, well, should I do a full-time program? Should I, something else? Ask yourself, do I like my job? Yes or no? Do I like my job? Yes or no? Well, I don't know. Am I still learning? Am I still making good? Do I like the industry? Did I work hard to get to where I am? Do I want to keep this while I get an MBA? Do I like my boss? Is my boss, does that person believe in growth and development? Would they support me? Time minimum, but hopefully maybe even throw in a little bit of support money-wise, help me get this MBA. Hey, they're not going to lose me. You're not going to lose me. I'm not going to go quit you and go get a full-time. I'm going to keep working here because I like our company. I like our industry. I like our firm. I like these opportunities. I like what we're doing here, and I want to make this investment in myself. Do you like results in real time? Do you like to hear it on Saturday and use it on Monday? Do you like to hear it on Tuesday night and use it on Wednesday morning? That's what FEMBAs do. So if any of those, if there's more of that trending yes than no, then FEMBA is for you. That's the quick shorthand. Do I like my job? Do I like my boss? Do I like results in real time? Because that's what FEMBA is. That's what FEMBA is built for, is to let you do all that. Keep your job, learn while you earn while you learn it today, apply it tomorrow, keep getting promoted like that. So UCLA and FEMBA, it's a big investment, time, money, and effort. So I want to give you a framework. We're about 5 minutes away to going in the breakout. So I want to give you a framework to be thinking of. How can I know that this 6-figure investment of money, that this 15 to 25 hours a week, the time, the effort, how do I know this could be worth it for me? Why should you invest in you? So let's hear from you. So let me, I want to get a few more faces up here. I'm not going to be able to see you all very well. How am I going to do this? Let me stop sharing for a minute. All right. So if you can see me and I can see you, this is going to be great. But I want to hear from a couple of you. So wave at me, or well, raise your hand. Let me do participants. So raise your blue hand and you'll go to the top. And I want to hear from a couple of people. Why should you invest in you? Not why should your boss invest in you, but why should you invest in you? So this is audience participation part. Let me get a couple of answers up on the map. Just use your raise hand feature, please. Click on the 3 buttons in the top right and then raise your hand and I'll call on you. All right, who's going to be bold? Who's going to be first? This is not television. I can see you out there. I'm going to start toggling. Oh, Juan. All right, Juan. Yeah. So why should you invest in you, Juan?
I used to work at ABC Disney as a producer editor, and COVID just kind of decimated my industry. And because of that, it's been a challenging year for a number of reasons. But I think within challenge, there's like a great opportunity to reinvent yourself and try new things. And so I definitely want to invest in myself just because moving forward, for me to get better at my craft, for me to improve as a producer, I think having an MBA would be amazing. And I think actually one or two of my former colleagues, they actually did the program.
Nice.
So yeah, so because of that, I saw in real time, like you're saying, the improvement in terms of like their promotion, what they became. I think one or two of them got promoted to creative director of our department, which was entertainment marketing. We used to make the trailers for our shows and such. So yeah, it's just like you're saying. I got to see in real time what happens if you get your degree and you can kind of incorporate what you learn the very following day.
Thank you, Juan. And just for the record, have you and I ever met before this moment?
I don't believe so, no.
Correct. We have not. And that was like the best answer I could have hoped for. So, he's not a paid plant. But Juan, what you want to do is when you get the link for the recording of this, you want to go back and listen to your essay and just type that. Listen to your answer just now. Type that into your Why FEMBA.
It was an essay. It was an essay.
That's you're good. You're golden. All right, let's do one more. Sasha, I see your hand up. Sasha.
Hi. Yeah, I just figure, if I don't invest in me, no one else is going to do it. I can't just sit around waiting for opportunities to happen. Especially, I'm in the biotech industry. So you kind of reach a point where like either you have a PhD or you need some other qualifications and other skills to really see career development. So that's, yeah.
And that could be a fork in the road for you, right? Like if you're in the sciences, sometimes the PhD is the way to go. But if I invite you to listen to Susan Francia's interview, because she's doing biotech with an MBA, not, and it's great to have the PhD scientists, but you also need the management skill set, to get the bridges built, to get the information flowing, to keep the trains on time, so you can make a big impact, with an MBA. And I loved what you said, if I don't, who will? Right? It's just the world is moving so fast. People are trying to keep their own careers going, let alone, gosh, what am I going to do for Sasha's growth and development? Right? And it's this chicken and egg thing. When the world sees that you're going to get your MBA, it's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? If I invest in me and people see me invest in me, then very often they want to invest in me also, that kind of thing. So thank you. Anything else, Sasha? Thanks for sharing. I appreciate both of those. Kaushal, I won't call on you now just in the interest of time, but thanks everybody. So let me just jump back over to here, and we're gonna sprint to the student panel. I was hoping to get done at 35, and it's not gonna happen. All right, so we heard from a couple of you, and that's great. The point of tonight, why FEMBA? Only you know what an investment, what the best investment in your hopes and dreams could look like. But if you bring your hopes and dreams to Anderson, this is a place that will help you nurture them. We're going to challenge you. We're going to make you crazy tired, but we will surround you with the know-how and the network and the confidence to go make something happen. That's the point of tonight. You heard two great examples. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Sasha. So you're already successful, right? You're here tonight. This is, Kevin called this the famous squiggly line slide. This is you without UCLA. This is your first MBA slide. The vertical axis is like your potential, right? And the bottom axis is the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of your life, because we're all going to live to be like 110. If you don't drink too much and you don't drive fast on the PCH, we're all going to live a long, long time. If you're educated and you're participating in society and you have access to healthcare and you've got like a noble cause, you're going to live a long time. So you're going to be successful without UCLA is the point of this slide. And this next slide, hang on tight because this is going to get high tech real quick. The next slide, this is you already being successful, this slide, without UCLA. But this is what we want to do. We want to take already successful people like you here on a Monday night in December. We want to add UCLA and we want to make you more successful, right? So let me review. This is you with no UCLA, already successful, going to live a good life. and this is you with UCLA. And it's the delta. That's what tonight's about. That's what I want you to look at on your breakout. Like, what do I want to do? Why would I want to get an MBA? Where is it going to help me get? So trajectory beats position. We can have a great position at any point in life, but something we can have a setback, blah, blah, blah. But as long as I keep aiming high, I can live a life no matter what the immediate circumstances are. You heard Juan, that was very generous. Like, my whole industry got blown up because of COVID. I got to reinvent myself. And I've seen other people do FEMBA in my network at Disney and around in entertainment. Now I want to do that for myself. That was an entertainment example. Sasha gave an example from biotech, right? We're in all the different industries. Take your trajectory, aim it as high as you can, watch your life get exciting. So super quick, I said this earlier, think in the next. That's our headline. We have three pillars that talk about the culture. And this is what I want you to look at in your breakouts. We talk about, this is another high-tech slide, right? Your head, your heart, your gut. See the little happy person here? This is a gender neutral person. Got a big happy brain, thinking in the next, thinking fearlessly. Got a big happy heart, sharing success, making friendships that are gonna get through grad school and last for life, and then sharing success, somewhere developing that intestinal fortitude to raise that little hand, that little gender neutral person hand, and say, hey world, I've got an idea. If you give me a permission, I'll go forward. So thinking fearlessly, boom, you'll make a lot more money, you get an MBA. It's tried and true. The average FEMBA salary goes up 25 to 35% during school. And 5 to 8 years later, the average FEMBA is making what they were making doubled plus. So usually about a 217% stair step, 5 to 8 years from what you were making before school to what you're making afterwards. This class, the guys you're going to meet tonight, class of 2020, had, I think, $103,000 average base salary walking in the door. So that's pretty cool to be surrounded with a whole bunch of six-figure people already who've got 7- and 8-figure aspirations. So think fearlessly, make more money, great. Think outside the box, build a better mousetrap. Drive change, that's the confidence thing. That's Hadley's one word. I want to be confident. That's, optimism, confidence. We love those words because we can deliver on that. And then share success, right? That's that heart part that makes UCLA so special. We did this big alumni survey last year, and they asked full-time executive and part-time alumni, what do they miss most? And it was really interesting. The full-time students missed different stuff, but the part-time and the executive MBA, what they missed most was each other. They missed having this circle of other professionals around them, all working that, we were in it together. It's like team in training to run a marathon. We kept each other going. And not only did we get each other through school, but they notice that as soon as you graduate, and you're like, oh, thank God I get my life back. But you miss that weekly come together because not only were we getting each other through career challenges, but we were just becoming friends. And this is another little cliche that I love, handshakes to hugs. This was written by David Luong, who was a 2015 FEMBA Council leader. And you can listen to his interview, his Drive Time audio podcast. But he said, for him, the way he saw it was at the start of Leadership Foundations, you shake hands. And that's great, right? Hello, I'm Dylan Stafford. I'm putting on my best professional presentation of myself. But by the time you get to graduation, this picture, post-COVID, when we can hug again, right? It's not a handshake, but it's a hug. And it's not just yes, I remember her from grad school. She was a very powerful person. But it's like, I remember Susan. Man, she's hilarious. Yeah, she's an Olympian, but she's so funny, right? And you're on a first hug basis. And that's what FEMBA gives you is support, academic support, career team support, faculty support, peer support. So I have talked a long time, 5 minutes longer than I wanted to. So I'm going to take 5 minutes out of the end. So you're going to have a full 30 minutes with your breakout, okay? So Richie and I and Cynthia, we're going to get these breakouts assigned. We're going to move the host back and forth. You're going to go to 1 of 9 breakouts tonight. And you're going to be with these folks here, plus Kelvin. And let me just forward to the next slide. So this is, first, you don't have to say anything for the first 5 minutes. Your leader is going to introduce themselves. They're going to tell you where they were before school. They're going to tell you what they're most proud of that they accomplished here in 2020 so far. And then they're going to tell you their why FEMBA. So to kind of prime the pump, If you don't want to share tonight, please, nobody, no uncomfortable for anybody, but we invite you, right? Like, it's fun. Jump in the pool. You know, there's no wrong answer. I'm going to pause the recording. None of this is going to be recorded, but these will be the opportunity. And I really invite you to play. Your name, your undergrad school and major, your company, your job title, just some basics. If you want to say anything else, you're welcome, but you're only going to have a couple minutes. And then what are you most proud of this year, right? Maybe it's something about COVID. Maybe it's something about social distancing. Maybe you have a sick family member that you've had to take care of. Maybe you help take care of your neighbor down the hallway in your apartment building. Maybe it's something about social justice. Maybe that woke you up this summer and you've been taking action to make the world a better place in your company or in your professional networks or your personal networks. One thing, it could be small, it could be big. And then why FEMBA for you? Like, why would you invest 6 figures? Why would you invest over $100,000, 15 to 25 hours a week for the next 27 months to reinvent yourself? Okay, so that's the assignment. We're gonna have 30 minutes. It's 6:47 now. Richie, are we ready? Can we send people away?
You're gonna have to make me.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. All breakouts will close in 8, 7, 6. All right, so I hope you guys, well, I'll let everybody come back, sorry. All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope that you enjoyed that. Little bit of a sense of what it's like to be in an MBA, right? Lots of interesting people, lots of different backgrounds. Did anybody notice how your thinking starts to get a little bit stimulated? Like, oh yeah, that was a good observation. Oh, I like the way they said that, right? That's a big part of what makes an MBA an MBA, is that kind of dynamic. So, so welcome back. So let me share screen again. I want to split the screen. Why am I not splitting the screen? All right, so we're going to do Q&A for a few minutes. Actually, yeah, I don't need this screen. I'm going to stop. So, you know, if you got any questions, I'll put it back on participant mode. Just raise your hand. We'll do the blue hand because I can't see all the pages at the same time. But the kind of questions I'd love to address, and if it's for me, I'll ask it, or if you want to ask any of the volunteers tonight, or Cynthia, my other team member. But it's the kind of question that you think a lot of people would have. If you have one-on-ones, then you can follow up with us. We can handle those different venue. But for tonight, with the 10 minutes or so we have left, any kind of questions. You know, the point of tonight was why FEMBA, why an MBA, why UCLA, why keep my job and go to school. So let's see. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Sion, what question? How do you pronounce your name?
Hi, Dylan. That was close. It's pronounced Cian. But my question was, since FEMBA is such a popular program, are any of the classes hard to get into, whether it be core classes or electives?
Okay, sure. So your core classes, after you get admitted, tell me again, Cian?
Cian.
Cian.
Like Cian, but with C.
Oh, thank you. I love those. Okay, see, I like me. See, after you get admitted, you choose a schedule. You got 3 schedules. We have Tuesday night, Thursday night is a very popular schedule, keeps your weekends free. We have all day Saturdays, very popular schedule. It's only 1 trip to campus, and this is post-COVID when we're back to normal. Or you have our hybrid model, which is come to campus every 3 weekends, 3 times a quarter. So you choose one of those schedules, and everybody in round 1 and 2 gets their first choice. And then sometimes in round 3, we run out of space, but it just depends. So everybody gets the schedule for the first year and a quarter that they choose. And there's no worry about running out of space for popular classes. We do the scheduling for you for the fall, winter, and spring of your first year, and then the fall. Oops, was I speaking? Okay. Did I get muted? Thank you. I hope you could hear me. But then when you get to electives, then you get bidding points, and you can choose. So if you put a lot of your points against a popular elective, then your chances of getting it are really high. Sometimes 3rd-year students get precedence over 2nd-year students just as they're getting closer to graduation. So yes, it's a popular program. And you know, we have a lot of faculty, and we allocate so that everybody has lots of choice. And we try to spread the elective choice over the different schedules. Tuesday, Thursday. We also do Monday, Wednesday evenings, and then the hybrid weekends and the Saturdays. So I hope that answered your question, Sian. Maggie, would you like to ask your question?
Hey there, fellow Texan. Hi.
All right.
So at the beginning, you talked about some of the change makers, some of the firsts, some of the ways that UCLA is helping people change the world. What are some ways that UCLA could help me change the world?
What's your field, Maggie? What do you do?
Well, I work for American Airlines, and yeah, my goal is to be, I keep saying this phrase in my head, I want to be a master leader. I want to master leadership and really just help my team members and employees to have a great work-life balance and help them accelerate their careers, develop themselves personally, professionally, and just help improve their overall quality of life.
Excellent. And what have you studied before, and which part of the airline do you work with?
So I currently work in HR, and I am a non-traditional student. I'm wrapping up my undergrad right now. My major, I'm actually at Texas A&M Commerce.
Oh my
and
goodness.
yeah. And my major is organizational leadership.
Excellent. And are you based in LA, or would you be doing our hybrid program, or have you thought about any of that yet?
I would hope to do the hybrid, and I could honestly do Saturdays as well. Working for the airline, you know, I get to fly for free. But I have connections in LA, and I have considered relocating as well.
Well, you know, it's going to sound a little bit high level, but just in the interest of time, right? We are going to give you one of the most respected faculty of any of the global top 20 programs in a model where you get to keep your job. So we are going to help you think more rigorously, more crisply. We're going to take your HR preparation and the learning from life experience that you have leading your teams. And, you know, airlines are people businesses, right? Yeah, the planes, there's the technology side, but then there's the human side. So we're going to give you cutting edge intellectual perspective on what does a modern organization need to be effective. You're going to bring your real life as lived non-traditional student, making it all fit. Plus you're going to be, you know, commuting from out of state, sounds like, if you're doing hybrid, or if you flew over here for Saturday. So we're going to give you a place to take that potential and cross-reference it with what do they do at Disney, and cross-reference it with what do they do in biotech, and cross-reference it with what do they do in real estate, right? And even though entertainment, biotech, and real estate aren't what you deal with in an airline environment, there are a lot of lessons to be learned, and you're going to learn from your peers, and they're going to learn from you, you know, because I mean, you guys have been one of those majorly impacted, you know, how are the airlines going to survive this COVID thing when we're only flying 20% volume, right? So there are going to be a lot of people who are like, how are you all still in business? How, you know, what is it like to go to work? How do you keep morale up? You know, from an HR point of view, how do you put on a legitimate smile on your face? You know, there are going to be a lot of your classmates who want to learn from you while you're learning from them. So it's a starting point for whatever, you know, as you craft, because it's like, what does that mean to you? You know, how do you make a big impact from the starting point that you are now? And you've got the 27 months of FEMBA to hone that, sharpen that, shop that around, ask other folks. So sorry, it's kind of a high level answer, but you know, it starts with asking a good question. Nathan's pointing at me. Yes, please. Get me out of this. You asked me a hard question. I'm unqualified.
I got some help for you, because again, I'm going through it right now, and I had sort of those same things, right? How do I become a better leader? So UCLA also has a number of other programs that I highly recommend, like if you all are accepted and come in, that you take advantage of. Leadership at Anderson is one of them. So I've just recently joined that. They've partnered me up with an actual leadership coach. We had our first meeting. She gave me different tasks saying like, hey, you know what? Like, you have all these different paths you want to go down. Really analyze, what do you love? What do you hate? And let's see how we can, like, after we pick those things out, what tasks we need to build you on in order to get you down that road. There's also the UCLA Alumni Mentorship Program. I just recently joined that, and I've been partnered with a 2019 FEMBA member, Amal Modi. He works for General Electric as an executive managing director. So now I get to actually discuss with him, you know, the changes I'm going through in my career, the classes I'm going through. And he's been partnering me up with different people in the industry, different people who've walked this path to sort of set me up and provide that framework. It's like I mentioned in my breakout session, right? Even Serena Williams has a tennis coach. So, you know, take advantage of all these other programs and things that UCLA offers, in addition to just the classes and your peers and the faculty.
And the very first orientation week we call Leadership Foundation, and everybody takes a week off work. This year it was remote. Normally it's in person. And one of your homework assignments is your leadership practice plan, where you write, you know, like what could my leadership journey look like? You know, it's really designed to get your thinking aimed at specifically where are the gaps you want to close, and then how do you marry those gaps with the resources of Anderson? And thank you, Nathan, for kind of being more specific. So thank you, Maggie. That was a great question.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Y'all, I love it. Griff, yes, what question could we try to address? Uh-oh, did it freeze? Griff Kinsey, can you hear us? All right, we'll wait a second for Griff. Anybody else? Any other questions or any other?
Dylan,
Oh, there we go.
We had a chat question about if you select the hybrid program, is a visa required?
If you select the hybrid, yeah, you can. Those are pretty specific questions. You can reach out to our team on the contact us staff page, because we can talk about. FEMBA does not provide student visas. So people who are in the FEMBA program are either US citizens, permanent residents, or they have work visa status. H1 or L1 typically are the vast majority, but we're not an F1 visa supporting program by and large. So we'd have to talk about, are you commuting from, you know, from what country? And we'd even have to talk about if it's really the right program, because you might want to think about, it might not be the right program if you're having a visa question. Thank you for that. I'm looking at others. Any other perspective? We got about 4 minutes left. Any other perspective from any of our volunteers? Just kind of high level thoughts you might want to add.
Traylon Bradley had his hand up actually.
Oh, good. I'm sorry. Who is that? Please.
Trey, right here.
Hey.
Yes.
Hey, great. My question is, you know, considering maybe a lot of us have not submitted our application, if you have to give us one piece of advice right before we hit submit, like one thing that you wanted to leave us all with right before we hit submit on our application, what would it be and why?
Well, it's like, I don't know if it'd be right before you submit, but in the process in general, Traylon, it's like, don't phone it in. Like, it's going to cost you $200 to apply, a couple $100 to take an exam. It's going to cost you, you know, 20 or 40 or 60 hours of your time over the couple of months that you give this. But everything that we ask you to do is designed to sharpen your thinking about what you want to do with your career. And I would just invite you to think big, right? I love Maggie's question, right? Like, what's the biggest difference I can make and how does UCLA help me get there? Like, this is a $130,000 investment plus 20 hours a week, basically for almost 3 years. So that's a big opportunity cost. And, you know, if you just want a 10% raise, just be nice to your boss, you know, find out their birthday, buy stuff for their kids, go play golf. There are a lot of easier ways to get small incremental upticks, which are fine. There's nothing wrong with small incremental upticks. But for me, that's why I lead the Why FEMBA is, you know, like, start with why, the Simon Sinek thing. Like, what's your noble cause? What is it that you're trying to do with your life? And do you need the bigness of UCLA, the bigness of the academic rigor, the bigness of the network, the bigness of the prestige? And if there was one thing I could say, it's don't apply to UCLA because it seems like a good idea. Take the time to actually kind of, you know, there are lots of things that seem like a good idea. It seems like a good idea to buy a $300,000 sports car, but do I really need a $300,000 sports car, right? Like UCLA works for people when it's a good fit. So it's, you know, I mean, I'll throw some love towards Cynthia, right? USC's, Marshall's great. You know, you got an excellent, and if you want a faith-based program, you got LMU, you got Pepperdine, right? Like, you have choices, and they have different price points and they have different, you know, differences. So But if you want what UCLA is, you know, then go for it, right? Give it your very best. So that would be that. Let me share screen for just a second. I'm gonna show a couple slides that kind of get me to the finish line. I'll stay around and answer some questions afterwards, but I do want, just in respect of time. So if you do have other questions, this is my team, all of their emails. You know, Christy, Roy, and Chris do public facing one-on-ones. Raymond runs marketing communications. Cynthia keeps the trains on time. Erin is our team member with whom you'll work to get your transcripts in. So if you have visa questions, more specific questions, just go to our team page and you can find us. FEMBA is about a 1,000-day journey, depending on what you count as the starting point. It's 1,000 days to reinvent yourself. If you get 0.1% better every day for 1,000 days, you're going to be 100% better, right? Trajectory beats position, right? It's a long and winding road, this life, but surround yourself with great people, great stuff happens. Got 2 more deadlines, January 12th and April 6th. So that's my end. So I will now just thank all of my panelists and Cynthia, Richie and Hadley. Thanks for, you know, being the co-presidents to run FEMBASsadors this year. All of my Voice of FEMBA folks. Oh, I need to, if you want to hang out for a minute, I'll paste. Where do I have? I want to paste to everybody the, anyway, I've got the links. So all of the 7 folks who are the first year FEMBAs, they all have their Voice of FEMBA video online. So I have all those links and I'll put them in the chat in just a minute. But officially it's 7:30. So officially we will stop. And then I've got like 15 or 20 minutes. I'll hang out and answer some more questions just in a group. I won't do I can't do super specific personal stuff here, but I'm happy to answer one-on-one, high level questions for another 15 or 20 minutes. And then I will post also the links to all of our volunteers. All right, volunteers, anything from you guys? Any words of wisdom, great advice? Wing, Nathan, anybody? Kevin, Kelvin?
Just it's good to hear this again after 1 year. It's kind of crazy
Yes,
how much
we're gonna say we
changed.
did this. We were
Agreed.
in your shoes
Oh,
literally
man.
a year ago, doing the same, contemplating, oh my gosh, how can I get back in the swing of things with final exams? And it just comes right back. Oh my gosh. We just finished ours like last weekend and it's like all the competitive driving spirit comes back. So do not fret. And we'd love to see you apply and join us in the FEMBA journey. So thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And thanks for, Kelvin, thanks for jumping in at the 11th hour. I appreciated that. Wing, anything for you or Hadley?
Yeah, no, agreed. Just to throw it out there, though, I did go to USC for undergrad, but picked UCLA for my MBA. So that says something. But no, really, it's one of the best decisions I made in my life. So really happy to be here.
Oh, kind words. Thank you. Hadley or Nathan?
And say, if I can do it, you guys can do it. I studied linguistics and English, and yet I'm here with a really good GPA, and I'm almost done. I only have 6 months left, so you can do it, guys. You're already halfway there just by being here.
Thanks, Hadley. Anything from my pilot perspective, Nathan? If you could fly planes, you could do this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, you got to take that time to sort of just make that leap for yourself, right? If we all have these big dreams, these big aspirations, it's got to start with a step. And at UCLA, like, they can help guide you along that path to where you want to go. You know, it's like that choose your own adventure. They set up the framework with the courses, with the core courses, but then after that, like I said, there's people in my class studying music. I'm a pilot. We have tech. You know, it's a number of different backgrounds, all different countries, all different types of things. So take the leap.
Yeah, there is definitely an element of throwing your hat over the wall and now I got to go get my hat, right? It kind of wakes you up is my observation and my experience both. Oh, I see some blue hands. Let's see. Puneet, I don't know if these are in order or not. PK, do you have a question?
Hi, Dylan. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
I have a question. I'm actually pretty young, so don't take it like I'm getting old. But my question is, at what point does it become a point of diminishing returns from your standpoint? Like, I see a lot of young faces and a lot of mid-career people here. at what point do you think it becomes a point of diminishing returns? And what's the range of people in terms of in their career, what stages they are in your typical class?
Yeah, well, all of our programs, full-time, part-time, executive, our class profiles are on the websites, but in general, our full-time students are in their 20s with a few people in their early 30s. This program, the FEMBA program, the majority of students are between like 27 and 33. So 30, 31 is the average age walking in the door, but we'll have about 20% of the program who are older than 35, maybe not quite, maybe 15%. And then we have an executive MBA program that has people in their 50s and 60s. And we'll have some people in their 50s in FEMBA, but not a lot, maybe 1 or 2 per year. But there's no upper age limit. It's a personal calculus. I have mentors who tell me to go get a PhD. I'm 51. I'm like, the opportunity cost to go back and get a PhD, for me, it doesn't make sense. I have a terminal degree in management. I can do a lot with an MBA, So for me, a PhD doesn't make sense at this stage in life. I have an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old. I do a lot of scouts and daddy stuff on the weekend. I also sit around on the couch and watch football. Don't let me sound too noble, right? So, PK, that's kind of one of those ones you kind of got to look at, If you listen to the drive time, the summer drive time, or the 2020 drive times that we did this year, I ask almost everybody the ROI question. And what I love about talking to our students and our graduates is everybody answers the ROI question. Yeah, it was worth it. The return on investment was positive, but they never answer it. They never lead with money. That's always like the third thing or fourth thing that they mention. It's like, gosh, it was so exciting. It was such a shot in the arm, and the friendships were so cool, and the culture was so supportive, and then like the third or fourth thing they'll get to is, oh yeah, and I make a lot more money than I did, and I have a bigger opportunity set. But we're not a real, I don't know. You don't hear a lot about sort of salary comparison. That's just not the culture. It's kind of very California. We're going to work hard. We're also going to play hard. So short question, long answer, but I hope that helped, PK.
It did. Thanks. Thank you so much, Dylan.
Thank you. Sasha, I'm just going to go top down. Sasha.
Hi, it's me again. So I was wondering if you or any of the students who are still left in the meeting, if I guess when you've been leading the FEMBA program for a long time, and I'm sure you scope out other programs. So what have you been doing to make sure that the UCLA part-time program stands out from other programs? And if other students could chime in with a perspective on why they chose this program as opposed to a different one, I would like to hear that.
Do I have to stop the recording, or can we be candid? No. Well, I mean, I'll be quick, and then anybody who'd like to share from the volunteers. We're not, one size does not fit all. So one of the things that I'm doing is Anderson. We're kind of an island, and there's so much happening at Anderson that it's easy to forget that there's the rest of UCLA. And we have a new dean, Tony Bernardo, and one of his big goals for us is to kind of reintroduce ourselves to the rest of UCLA. The undergraduate population and those 125 other graduate programs. So part of where I'm coming from on this is just to actually do a little bit of UCLA history. People don't know who who Jackie Robinson was, and that he was UCLA. People don't know who John Wooden is if you didn't follow basketball in the 60s and 70s, which was way before everybody here was born. So that, for me, to me, it's kind of like a UCLA awareness campaign, because there's so much to be proud of. And it has nothing to do specifically with the MBA, but it's like UCLA is the nest, and within that nest, that's where Anderson lives. So I'm just kind of, me personally, I'm kind of on a UCLA pride campaign. But other stuff, we invented the hybrid model. We were the first part-time program to go hybrid back in 2012. We admitted the 1-week global immersions. We were the first part-time program to do that. Education is never going to look the same after COVID. And we're doing a lot of real-time experimenting, because who wants to? I do not miss the 405. I miss the big tentpole events. I miss the fun stuff. But we're going to do remote education or some hybrid of that for a long time. And our faculty were well positioned for that, because over half of them had been teaching hybrid since 2012. So those are some things that I see that we're doing. But I'm a faith-based person, you know. If my child wanted to go to LMU, you know, I'm Catholic, whatever, that's my thing, right? But if you want to go to Pepperdine, you want to go to LMU, you know, we don't talk about God at UCLA, right? It's a secular school, right? So like the world is full of choices. So you do want to go kick the tires of the other schools, but we've always been the #1 program in SoCal for the 25 years of the rankings. And half the time we're the best program on the West Coast. It's either us or Berkeley. So, you know, but that doesn't mean we're best for you. So that's my politically correct answer. Any of the current
Dylan is given his he gets paid to do this, so he has to modulate. I don't have to modulate because I'm paying the school and I get to be honest. No, the difference when I talk to enough applicants is the culture is so much stronger, right? Is when we talk about sharing success, you see it in these breakout rooms, right? Of the 9 volunteers we have here, I know the stories of Nathan who's 12 weeks into the MBA. Hadley, I work with a lot. So, Wing, I helped her get on board, right? We're not just a group of classmates who are super smart, but we're a family. And then, sorry. It looks like my audio broke, so good thing I have a backup. Can you guys still hear me?
We heard you up to "we're a family," and then we only lost you for about 5 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So I have a backup on my mobile, and we find ways to build each other up. Like what I know what my classmates are interested in. They know what I want to do, and we find how to. Yeah, exactly. I interview Wing, and after that, it wasn't just, hey, now you get into this program, but how do we give you opportunities to make the most out of it? So that's been it's been a lot different than other schools where it's just you come to class, you get a good grade, you move on with your career. I think that's what I hear a lot from applicants and prospects.
And I see some of our volunteers on the other page. I don't know, Jeremy, or I didn't.
Well, I was going to add on the recruiting front. I think many schools segregate the full timers from these fully employed, but I think UCLA is definitely more equitable in that sense where we can participate in on-campus recruiting. We do it in a different year, but we're doing it alongside them. And Dylan, if you want to add anything else on that, but I do feel that's quite a hallmark of our program.
Yeah, and that's another one, along with the global immersions and the other one that I mentioned. That we made that choice, and we have a dedicated career services team who supports specifically FEMBA, which is made up of 4 people, all of whom are industry experts. They all have executive coaching credentials. They've all done sort of mid-career executive outplacement work, because with FEMBA, you need a different type of career coaching than a person who quit their job and is in a full-time program. Because the career coaching for a full-time student is very much aimed at get a great summer internship next summer, and then get a full-time position at the end of 21 months. Whereas FEMBAs are wrestling with a different timeline and a different set of constraints because they're maintaining ongoing employment. So there's a lot of coaching around how to position yourself for internal promotions, in addition to just doing, hey, I think I want to quit my job, do an internship. FEMBAs do that, they're very successful. Or I want to get to the end of the program, quit my job, and apply for brand new positions. And FEMBAs have access to on-campus recruiting through our coaches into the Parker Career Management Center. Thank you for adding that.
I have a question. This is Leela here. Can you give me some major differences between FEMBA and the Executive MBA program?
Well, they overlap a lot, but the Executive MBA students are on average, they're 1 or 2 promotions further along. So this year's entering class in FEMBA, about 30, 31 years old, making 100, 105,000 on average. The Executive MBA program, about 37, 38, making about 165 to 175,000 on average. So the Executive MBA program is designed for people who are managing teams. They have P&L responsibility. They're a promotion or 2 further along. The way I think about it is that everybody at Anderson, full-time, part-time, executive, everybody's on the same upward trajectory. They're just at different, they got the same long-term aspiration. They're just at different points in their life at the moment where they're going to get their MBA. So if you're young and you got a job that you can quit, you can do the full-time program. If you've got a job that's worth keeping, then you need to do FEMBA or EMBA. So if you're between, 31 and 40 and you got a job that you like, you're probably going to be qualified for either FEMBA or EMBA. And you can kick the tires on both. You can't apply to both at the same time. You got to figure out what you like. EMBA is about $45,000 more expensive. All the meals are included. There's lodging things. So it's more expensive. So I'm never going to say FEMBA is a bargain. FEMBA is one of the most expensive part-time programs out there. It's a top 5 program. But yeah, you want to go to the executive MBA leadership. It's kind of like we have 3 children and you never, here's my handsome child and here's Dylan. You never compare your kids to each other. So the same faculty teach in all the programs. The same core curriculum is experienced in all the programs. Everybody puts the same diploma on the wall. So, and there are differences in the unit count, the price point, and the average experience in the classroom. So I hope that helps, Leela. It's kind of a bigger question, so you'll want to do some more homework to make sure you find the one that feels like the right fit for you.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. John, if you've had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. Curious, in the spirit of thinking in the next, you could talk about the future of Anderson. What are the big investments, either in new specializations, changes in curriculum? Where's, if some of us are here are admitted and graduating, 3.5 years from now, what would be the tagline of Anderson?
Well, we like thinking the next. We've had it since 2012, and I think actually people are starting to like it more than at first. It's like, that's grammatically clunky, and all the English majors coughed up a hairball because it's like, what does that mean? But it's actually, I think what happened was the pillars. People really, because we don't just make up that tagline. We had Ogilvy, and it was an 18-month process with alumni, current students, the recruiters who hire our students, faculty, staff, all the voices, all the big stakeholder groups, and they really felt that those 3 pillars did a good job, because the top schools have a sense of themselves. Northwestern does marketing. My school, Chicago, is all about finance. You've got kind of high-tech entrepreneurship at Stanford and Berkeley. You've got general management at Harvard. You've got finance at Wharton. And then it's like, well, what is Anderson? And we have this kind of problem that we're a everything school, and we had the dean had his town hall just a few nights ago to talk about where the strategic planning committee is. So we got a new dean. He started July a year ago. He put some of the top strategy professors against the strategic planning committee. They've been working for 18 months. They're coming to the end of their findings. It's Professor Ian Larkin and some other big leaders, Jim Moffitt, who was the runner-up to be our dean, who used to be in charge of, he had a global accountability in consulting. He was in charge of the global management consulting arm of Deloitte.
Deloitte Global CEO.
Yeah, Deloitte Global CEO. Thank you. I've run out of nouns. I'm tired. But he's a big brain, and he's a big brain in human talent around the world. And they're asking that question. So we're in a good place, because this is what we've been doing already. And now, it's like, if you like change, this is the time for it. My 3rd grader goes to Zoom. My 8th grader goes to Zoom. What we used, what we thought was pretty progressive in 2012 when we launched hybrid. Yawnsville now, that's just baseline, right? Is Kevin still on here? Or did Kevin leave? Yeah. So
I'm here.
Usually, when we admit a class, we give them a Facebook group and a LinkedIn group. And, people are like bored with Facebook. That's like, your generation thinks Facebook is like, what old people do. So Kevin, went and set up a little sidebar Slack group last summer for the new admits, and then blew it up. Didn't you max out 24,000? What would tell him about that?
That was Kelvin, actually. Yeah, I'll pass it over to him. But I guess he and I, everyone in this, well, I think for the 23s, we all kind of participated in that group. That was how Wing and I early met on. And
yeah,
Kelvin, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I found out about the official Slack after I was admitted, and I kind of got an admin no, and I was like, yeah, I'm not accepting that. So
yeah,
started my own Slack group, and we got, I think, easily 2/3 to 3/4 of the class in before class started. So we got a chance to really network and meet each other. And I think we had a couple people decide to come last minute. You know, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but they were able to make connections that convinced them to come here versus other schools that they were admitted to. And so if I can say I helped them out with that, then, you know, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, you need to be on payroll. Yeah, you
good.
guys totally blew up our melt, because normally we have, you know, a certain amount of melt every summer, and all of our projections were so wrong with your class.
Really?
This class, yeah, you guys are the biggest Anderson class by like a lot. And it's not because we over admitted, it's because you guys over accepted, right? And so like, John, I'm not trying to make the school look behind the scenes, but this is the world we live in, right? Where Kelvin basically leapfrogged my team. We just didn't even know about Slack. It's just not a tool that we use. And we watched the class of 2023 onboard themselves in a real fast flowing information motif. And then in parallel, there's this whole enterprise level Slack initiative. So UCLA as an enterprise, the whole campus goes on to Slack in January. But I'm like the last to know, right? So I'm not trying to not answer the question, but I also don't want to even pretend to know what we'll be bragging about 3.5 years from now. Because it's just the world is not even interested in your 5-year plan, you know? And at the same time, you got to make 5-year plans. And what Dean Bernardo is saying right now is, you know, we want Anderson to be a bigger voice at the table of UCLA overall, in support of UCLA being a bigger voice at the table in what's happening in California. And one example he gives is the high-speed rail project, right? And he asked, how many of our Anderson Operations Technology Management faculty got consulted on that? Like, we have all these resources, but we didn't have the bridges built to really have a seat at the table to go to Hamilton, right? I want to be in the room where it happens, right? I don't want to waste my shot, right? Like, I think our new dean, he's been here, he's a 25-year faculty member of Anderson. And he's like looking around saying, like, we're going to have a healthcare specialization. That's a new one. That's big for him. We have at least 5 Anderson faculty who are all subject matter experts in healthcare. And look what we're wrestling with this pandemic. So it's, you could call it low-hanging fruit. We're on North Campus, UCLA Ronald Reagan's on South Campus, but it's more of an inward focus, like, let's just take advantage of the resources that are there. And that's kind of like this deck that I gave you guys tonight with all these really high-level UCLA brag points. I've been here 19 years. I've never really started with that. I was always just talking about Anderson and then kind of trying to pump up FEMBA. But now I'm like, Anderson pumps up itself, FEMBA pumps up itself. Let's do more of this kind of UCLA awareness. So
just to add a little to that, you know, when thinking in the next with the school, a lot of it in just the 3 years I've been here is seeing things that we didn't think too much about, and we're starting to say, the students are saying, hey, we're interested in this, and the school saying, yeah, you know what, this makes sense, right? So we're adding a specialization in healthcare. We added a social impact specialization, and on top of that, we made a global immersion to South Africa that people just really loved because it was based on social entrepreneurship, right? It was taking the pulse of industry and the students to say, what do we really want to do? We've also become a top school in hiring for technology, especially being on the West Coast. We're taking a lot of talent out of the Silicon Valley schools because we're saying, hey, we have Silicon Beach over here now, right? So you know, a little more affordable and still, you know, an attractive tech sector. So what we're going to look like in the next 5 years, that's going to adapt based on what industry adapts and what students want. But historically, just, you know, in the 3 years I've been here, we've really changed to meet the needs of what, you know, what people are looking for.
thank you, Richie. Yeah, I forgot about that. There's a really cool slide in the strategic committee's deck that shows where the top 20 schools send people. It's got all these cool proportional lines, and we're placing, the West Coast is hiring more tech related MBAs than anybody else, Amazon and everything. And then Anderson's placing more people into those tech roles than even Stanford and Berkeley right now. So we're also kind of discovering ourselves, because I always tell people, you know, one of the upsides of Anderson is how entrepreneurial we are. You got 100 faculty doing 100 different interesting things. But one of the challenges of FEMBA is it's a big boy, big person, big woman program. You know, there's no recipe here. There's no cookie cutter here. You got to be confident enough to build your own adventure. But if you're hungry, if you're proactive, if you're willing to like look around and find resources, there's so much cool stuff going on. So it's very catalytic. Blanca, we'll do a couple more and we'll start to wrap up.
Sure.
Thank you, John.
Hi, good afternoon. I just had a quick question. It's more in regards to the application process. Is there something that you look at more closely, or I guess my question is more like, how can I be a more competitive candidate in comparison to someone that might have more of a robust professional experience than what I do? Like, how can I become a better candidate for that?
Yeah, and the question earlier, if there was just one thing, you know, it's just, well, firstly, don't play the comparison game. You know, it's 1,000 days to reinvent yourself. If you get incrementally better, you compared to you, me compared to me. I mean, yes, the world is competitive. There are other people, right? You know, there's long lines to get into Google and all these places, fine. But ultimately, you know, over that long decade graph that I showed, you know, where you're already on a good upward trajectory, you have an education, you're participating in the economy, you're ahead of a lot of people. As you go through the application process, you know, it really is me against me, right? When I only applied, Chicago was my first choice school, but I took the time to write essays that made sense to me. I wanted to be a bridge builder. I was a Spanish minor at Texas A&M, and I thought, I'm going to leave Texas, get a fancy MBA. I want to study abroad. I spent a semester in Barcelona while I got my MBA. I'm going to become bilingual in Spanish, which I grew up in a small town in East Texas where no one spoke another language. So I thought Spanish was like the height of sophisticated. Now I live in California where it's like the second language. It is, you know, both my kids go to a bilingual school here in Culver City. But that was my story. But it was my story. I wanted to be a bridge builder. When I was 23 writing my essays, I thought I was going to be a bridge builder between Texas and Mexico. You know, it turned out I got hired to go work for Siemens in California. And I became a bridge builder between Silicon Valley and Munich, Germany for 6 years. And now I make my home in Southern California, and we have, you know, 25 to 30 citizenries, like countries of birth, in every single entering FEMBA class, right? So like I was the second youngest person out of 550 in my class. So I could have gotten into the, oh, I'm too young, I'm too green. But that wasn't my voice, right? My voice was, I want to be a bridge builder. And I had some things to show for it. I'd studied in Mexico. I was a Spanish minor. You know, I was really involved in student leadership in my undergrad program at A&M. So, you know, for you, Blanca, it's like, let your mentors, like, you know, do 2 columns, you know, Blanca's strengths, Blanca's growth and development, not weakness. It's not about weakness. It's Blanca's growth and development opportunities. Talk to your mentors. You know, I want to get a grad degree. I got that itch. I want to scratch it. I know a bachelor's degree is not enough for me. Maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe an MBA, maybe a public health, you know, but go talk to people you trust and appreciate, and just kind of put your cards on the table. Here's my resume. Here's the drafts of my essays. I don't know. What do you think? Do I look ready? You know, but don't do it with, it's not like dating, or maybe it is like dating. It depends how you want to look at it. But, you know, it's like, you're the bomb, right? Like you gotta put on the, I'm the bomb. You got to put on the I'm the bomb hat, right? And I'm the little bomb now, but I want to be the medium bomb and I want to be the big bomb. You know, Maggie's question, she kind of got me flat-footed. That was a big question. It was very specific to one person. I'm trying to think about the, you know, airline, Texas, how does UCLA? But I love the question because it's the right kind of question. You know, like ask a big question. This is my one and only wild and precious life. This life is a gift. And part of how I'm going to say thank you, you know, you're educated, you're employed, good people got you this far. But, you know, it's not about your survival. You're going to be fine. It's really about your contribution. And is this this graduate degree, the one that's going to help you be the person you want to be. And I'm trying to speak at a high level tonight because I do think the quality of the question, high quality questions lead to high quality answers. So you're asking the right kind of question. How do I differentiate myself in a competitive pool? And I'm saying, raise it even a level about that. It's not me versus them, it's me versus me. How do I set myself up to have a career that really sings? Well, surround myself with smart people, surround myself with nice people, surround myself with nice, smart people who are trying to make big things happen. Okay, where can I go find some people like that? You know, I'm hoping that what you see tonight, like literally what you see, 9 people right after finals volunteering 2 hours of their time to help that guy who can't remember his name at the end of Monday, right? That looks like a share success kind of culture. You know, that was Richie's answer. It's like our culture. And, you know, you can compare lots of things between programs. You can compare average GMATs and average starting salaries, but culture's a little more subtle, right? But look at this. There's an executive from American Airlines who wants to come over here because she wants to like focus on HR. That's an interesting classmate. And then you go to hear other schools and you just see were there any people like that, right? And then you listen to the volunteers, you know, listen to these drive times. So these are short answers. I give long questions, but my questions are all about, there's no one right answer ever, right? This program is much too big to be kind of compressed into just say ethics, you know, just say diversity, right? It's like, yes, ethics are important. Of course, diversity is important, but you know, management in a modern organization is all of that plus, plus, plus. And the MBA is designed to give you the toolkit to manage a modern organization. So, all right. Thank you, Blanca. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Juan, I think you're the only one person left who hasn't asked a question yet. So we'll do yours and then we'll start to wrap it up.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll finish wrapping it up. I started wrapping it up 30 minutes ago. I love Q&A.
I had a specific question about the Anderson Venture Accelerator program.
Oh, great.
Is that something that is, would you say being a part of FEMBA, it like kind of gears you towards maybe participating in that program? I know there's a 3-month program and a 6-month program. And is that open to, let's say, like non-FEMBA students? Is that open to, like, let's say members of my team are not like, you know, they're not students. So,
well, I'll go short and then Richie, can you talk about BCO and the Venture Accelerator? So the Venture Accelerator is it's not brand new, it's about 3 or 4 years old, but we took the bottom of the library and we just reconstituted it into a shared space, and it's the physical home of our multiple entrepreneurial endeavors, and the Anderson Venture Accelerator is kind of the big front-facing part of that. So, and it's bigger than Anderson. It brings in entrepreneurially minded people from across campus from all of our programs. That's the kind of high level, but Richie just completed the BCO, which is the business creation option, which is one of the 2 field study pathways. You can either do our global access program or you can do the BCO pathway. And BCO as a Venn diagram overlaps a lot with the world of the Venture Accelerator.
Yeah, so the Venture Accelerator is for entrepreneurial ventures that are at a level where they're generating revenue and looking to scale up dramatically. Part of the challenge, if you're thinking, hey, do I have to be a FEMBA student? No, that actually adds competition where my team struggled to get into the BCO, to the Venture Accelerator, because they said our brand as a entrepreneurship powerhouse MBA program has gotten so high that people from other schools who are applying into the Venture Accelerator with like multi-million-dollar revenue opportunities and saying, hey, how do I grow my business? So the accelerator is not specifically part of any individual Anderson MBA program, but it's a great opportunity if you go through the entrepreneurial route in FEMBA to say, I'm going to go and have an idea. You have EVI, entrepreneurship venture initiation is, hey, I just have a light bulb in my head. Can I make this into a business? All the way to business creation option, where your master thesis is to make a live business and prove its viability. If you can do that successfully, and start generating revenue, then you're on the path to doing the accelerator. With that said, it's not part of the program directly. So it's not like, hey, I have to do this at a certain time in my last 6 months of the MBA. Now it's a great option, but it's just, you know, it's not on the curriculum per se. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, so, all right. Well, and it is part of that idea of build your own adventure. You know, we also have the Price Center for Entrepreneurial Studies. You know, we also have the Global Access Program where you're matched with an international early stage, high tech, high growth company, and you consult with them for 6 months, contrasted to BCO where you're actually trying to launch your own initiative. So there are a lot of pathways, Juan, and please, you know, our websites tend to be robust. They tend to have a lot of gold just kind of laying there for public awareness. So, you know, part of everyone tonight, you generously gave us a couple hours of your life. We hope it was worthwhile, but, you know, to send you back to the Drive Time podcasts to get a sense of FEMBA. The Voice of FEMBA interviews are on our admissions page now to hear from the first year students here. The FEMBASsador page, connect with a student. If you go in the admissions page, connect with a student, you have the LinkedIn profile and the email address for all of our FEMBASsadors, and Hadley and Richie and 2 other co-presidents oversee a volunteer world of about 50 public-facing current students with even some alumni guests. So that's for FEMBA and the people of FEMBA. And then for the programs of Anderson, they each have their own websites also. So, you know, just keep doing your due diligence, because this is a big investment. And yeah, you want to get admitted. Your essays, it's like if you just take the time to learn about Anderson, you're automatically improving your essays. You're improving your chances to get admitted, right? Like that'll all happen organically because it'll just come across. It's very clear people who've kicked the tires and done deep due diligence contrasted to people who don't do the webinars, don't go to the websites, don't connect with the students, you know, don't take advantages of all of that. You know, it's just, we read a lot of applications and what you don't want to do is, oh, Anderson's the highest ranked, I'll apply there and hope they admit me. That's just not compelling, right? So, and getting admitted is the small goal. The bigger goal is not to get admitted. This bigger goal is to attend, become educated, become connected, become networked, become confident, and see your great life go even greater. That's the game that's worth playing, you know? So wherever you are on that journey, we respect your time. We appreciate your time. Thank you for all the questions. And I'm going to go get my meal out of the microwave, and, you know, we'll be seeing you online. We have a couple more events this month, and then we'll start again in January. January through June is really our busy season. So to my volunteers and to Miss Cynthia, Dr. Cynthia keeps us all on time, keeps the planes from, I can't use that, Maggie's here. Usually I say she keeps the planes on time, but now I got a real expert from that industry here. So thank you all for being with us here tonight, and we appreciate it. Kelvin, thanks for getting us started on Slack. It's going to be an enterprise-wide solution. I just found out like 2 weeks ago. It's going to be Slack for everybody.
Make sure if you guys see any events you like, to, you know, feel free to come and attend, right? We have a lot of ambassador things coming up. And every, you know, the diversity is an opportunity for us to have 100 different questions, right? If I was to answer every question, it would take me about 20 hours. I think I did the math once. I just said every different question I have, if it takes me about 3 minutes to answer them, it would take me almost a whole day. So feel free to reach out and we'll get you the answers you need.
Yeah, and Richie and Hadley, they're from ambassadors, lead the AMEs, if you've done those Ask Me Anything sessions, and there are no staff at those. So it's really you know, nobody's on their best behavior for the dean. Not that anybody was tonight. You know, this is our normal professionalism. We're a very collegial space. We speak very openly around Anderson. You know, at the Dean's Town Hall, people are asking, current students are asking the same level of questions you guys are asking. Where are we going to be 5 years from now, right? Like, because that's how we go forward. We gotta tackle tough questions with real conversation. So we do a lot of that. So, all right, thanks everyone. Appreciate it very much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.